Hello, how are you doing today? It is Sunday, the 14th of March, 2021, if you're listening live. For those of you that are on the replay, welcome. It's still good to see you here. So glad to be with you. Today, we are going to spring forward. Whether it's spring right now where you're at, whether you live in the United States and you actually have daylight savings and you went the clocks forward, or it's 10 years from now and it happens to be in August. Today is our day. We're going to spring forward. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, an international best-selling author of multiple books, and I help people write, publish, and market their books to bestseller. I help people become international best-selling authors. I help them put their words out on paper. Your words, who you are, those are what is important in the world. We each of us have a purpose, a reason why we're here. You're no different. There is no one on this planet that's put on the planet to keep the carbon dioxide oxygen balance going. There is so much more of a point and a purpose for who you are and what you do in this world. And today is the day that, if never before, today is the day that I hope you will embrace that you will see the person that you were meant to serve, and that you will maximize while it's called today. That's all any of us can do. It's a Sunday. Maybe it is your day of rest, and maybe you need to just binge watch television, take a nap all day long, cuddle with one of your kids. Maybe you need to shovel snow because there was a big snowstorm where you are. Maybe you need to go out and dance in the rain because in Southern California, we're having rain right now. Whatever it might be for you, we need to each of us maximize today, because today is the day that we have. And today we're going to spring forward. So what does that mean? Springing forward. I mean, there's like I said in the description, there's the moving of the hands on a clock. And most of you are like, what are the hands on a clock? Clocks don't have hands. They have, the little numbers with the colon in them, right? But back in the day when the clock, with the two hands, you would move the actual clock hand forward an hour to spring forward. These days you'll do like I need to do later if I'm in my car. You'll need to push the little button and you'll need to change the hour ahead an hour. For many of us, we now have computers and cell phones and things like that are just, they just do it. You go to bed at night and the hour jumps forward. And I've never actually watched it, but essentially, 1 minute it's 2 o'clock, and the next second it's 3 o'clock, and they just update themselves. They spring forward. And in time, there's all kinds of reasons for that. And I'm not going to get into the debate between should we or shouldn't we still have daylight savings. I live close enough to Arizona that I know that they don't and never have. It always used to mess with me because I have friends that live in Arizona, and I'd have to think, okay, so let's see, is this the time where we are on the same time zone, or is this the time where we aren't, that kind of a thing. But when we spring forward, it's so much more than just moving the hands on a clock. Springing forward is about movement in a positive direction. So I want to define positive for you because there's so much going on out there in the world that it's really easy to get. Hi, Voero, how are you? It's good to see you. It's so easy to be able to, get words mixed up in our head. So I want to make positive really, really basic for you today. I'm doing good, Voero. It's been an interesting last couple of months, but I'm blessed. God is always there for me, and things are on the upswing, I believe. And I'm just going to hold on to that belief with any of the self-doubts that creep in. It's like, well, what about, right? So when we spring forward, I want to make it really easy for you. Forward direction is counting. It's adding. It's put one foot in front of the other. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we go forward like that, that is positive. That's the directionality of positive. Just simply counting 1, 2, 3, 4 is us moving forward. If we went 4, 3, 2, 1, that would be us moving backwards. That would be the example of negative. So if you think of waking up in the morning as a 0 for that day, not a zero score, not that, but just you've done nothing forward, you've done nothing backward. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've been working on it. It's a work in process, keeping me trying to get fit and stuff. So, you start off your day. It's the beginning of a new day. You've done nothing positive, nothing negative. Yesterday's gone. Yesterday doesn't get to count in today. Now, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but you need to understand, we start level every day. We start with neither positive nor negative that we've done for today. It's really important we understand this before we can spring forward. And so then we begin putting, I love the old cartoon, put one foot in front of the other, right? We begin moving forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there are mornings that we wake up and it's, good morning, Lord. We just spring out of bed feeling happy and energized. And then there are other mornings when we're like, oh, good Lord, it's morning. You wake up and it's not as bright and sunny outside. Like I said, I live in Southern California, so I get really used to the sun. And then we have rain, and we need the rain. It makes the grass green. It makes the trees grow. Our world would be a really bad place without any water. Okay, we'd all be dead, basically, is what I'm saying. We need that rain. But when you get used to waking up and it's bright and sunny and the birds are chirping and all of that, and it's a little darker, it's a little gloomier, you can, be a little surprised by that. The same thing can be true with us emotionally. Sometimes we have that last dream before we wake up. And it's like one of those, oh, that was so wonderful, right? Have you ever had that dream? And it can be the simplest of things, the brush of somebody's hand against yours, somebody that you really care for telling you that they love you, winning the lottery, whatever it might be for you. And it can be an amazingly wonderful dream. We can also, my best friend and I, we were talking about this the other day. Have you ever woke up, those of you that are married, have you ever woke up and the spouse had a dream that you did something in the dream and they wake up angry at you? Because the last thing that happened in their sleeping was this thing that you did. Now, you didn't actually do it, but you're still in trouble, right? We were teasing. It's like, by the end of the day, after spending the time, you get to the point where you wonder if maybe you actually did do something and you just don't remember it because they're so upset about it, right? And so we have those kind of things that happen. We wake up and it's warm. We wake up and it's cold. There's a lot of things that impact that starting moment of our day. And we can go positive or we can go negative. Either is totally and completely available to us. It just really is a choice. And that's the hardest part of the whole thing. Because when we wake up grumpy, and oh man, am I guilty of this. When we wake up grumpy, what we really want to do is just swim it in until we get all pruny. We feel totally justified in our grumpiness and we just go for it. So in other words, we woke up at 0, we went to -1, and we just keep going down. We just keep counting backwards, -1, -2, -3, right? And I could have picked any number. I could have said we woke up 100. and then we can go 101, 102, 103, 104, 99, or we can go backwards 99, 98, 97. You know, you don't have to use zero. I want you to understand the concept of it, not get held up in, you know, what is the number that I start my day with? I mean, maybe your number is 3,452,652 million. Don't ask me to repeat that number because I don't even remember what I said now. The point is, are we going forward or are we going backwards? And we need to understand it's our choice. And my brain is saying to me, so I'll say it for you, but Steve, there are things that impact us that have nothing to do. We did not choose them. And that's absolutely true. Hey, John, good to see you. I mean, the truth of the matter is that there are other people and things in the world. Whether it be we had a picnic plan today and we woke up and it's pouring rain, right? Or we live in a household where there is chaos, turmoil, and fighting. And we woke up because we heard screams from the other room, cursing and swearing, and people telling each other how much they hate each other. And that was the thing that jarred us, possibly even from a good dream, to awake. And so it's really easy to be able to say, Steve, I don't have any control over those things. And I understand that. I get that. I lived that. I know what that's like. To be a child in a house where chaos is happening and you have no control over the chaos. I remember just being really wide open with you guys today. I remember being in a counseling session with a therapist. And the therapist tried to tell me that the discord between my parents, the screaming and yelling at each other, okay? Sorry, Mom, real talk. I'm sure my mom's probably listening or will, but you know, it is what it was. And the therapist tried to say to me, it's none of your business. It doesn't concern you. And I told him he was crazy. Yeah, you were that too, and you had to change it with your family. It was a choice, right, John? See, when that chaos hits us, I could have made other choices. My parents went through some things in their own personal lives, in their relationship. And I had a lot of freedom, is the positive way of saying it. And I don't want any of you to think I was neglected or anything like that. My parents loved and cared for me deeply, but they had a lot of their own stuff they were dealing with. And there were a lot of choices that I could have made that I could have gotten through. I could have slipped through a lot of bad choices. But then as a teen, that's when I chose who and how I was going to be. I chose to do positive things. I chose to do things to build me up. Not because my environment dictated that I should. Now you can talk about, yeah, but Steve, you were a third generation minister. Your dad was your pastor. Okay, yeah, but I'm going to say back to you, yeah, but my dad was my pastor. And I knew the real him. I knew all of his flaws too. And I loved my mom and dad desperately. I loved them to death. But they were human beings. They had faults and failings just like all of the rest of us do. And as a child, as at that point, the only child left in the house, it had the potential to impact my life. And there were parts of it that did. Most of it plays itself out in the fact that I am a huge night owl now. I got used to staying up at night. Now, some of that, and you know, we go into the medical of circadian rhythms and all that. But I created a lifestyle way back as a young teenager and through my teen years through all of high school as being a person who was up at night. But I also created a habit then of choosing what I was going to move, which direction I was going to move, positive or negative. And I chose to move forward. I chose to practice my singing. The reason why, when I was, 18, 19 years old and became the lead singer of a Christian rock band, the reason why I was able to hit the notes, my lead guitar player once told me that I couldn't sing any higher because he couldn't stretch the bottom key, the bottom chord on his guitar any higher, that I needed to just stay in that range and not go any higher. Because I chose to put on headphones and sing to music. Because I chose to sing. And although later on in life I learned a lot of, Motley Crue and Whitesnake and all of the, great 80s bands. During those days, it was Sandy Patty and Amy Grant and hymns. And it wasn't a lot of hymns. It was a lot of early modern Christian music. And there wasn't a lot to choose from. I used to tease. We started out, we had the Gaithers and the Archers, and that was about it. And the Imperials, absolutely. And it expanded. And I discovered the world of the very, very early days of heavy metal Christian music and loved it. I loved the sound of the guitars and the drums, and I was blessed to be part of that community for a while. And I have some really great friends that did amazing things in the world of Christian music back in those days. But it was because I chose. I made it on to Continental Singers and toured the world singing in churches. The summer after my senior year of high school, because of those hours when the screaming was happened, that I chose. And nobody ever told me, Sandy Patty's a soprano and you're a guy and you're supposed to sing tenor. So I have a high squeaky voice. I was blessed with it naturally, and I trained it into myself because that was what I have. And that's what I learned. And that's what I practiced. You see, the choice, like John said, your parents taught you one thing, but you chose to learn from them what not to do, how to be different. So at the beginning of each day, and now here's where the judgment-free zone, I want to make sure it comes in clearly. If you didn't choose to take the step forward and you did negative things, let that go. A second ago is gone. It's in the books. It's history. Now is the only second we have. Now is the time that we can choose to forgive and release ourselves and move forward. Now, it took a long time preambling the concept of spring because I want you to make sure that you understand what forward, what positive means, so that we can then talk for just a minute or two here about springing forward. Now, when we spring, a spring, when you're talking about water, is water that is essentially exploding up out of the ground. A spring is like a water, like one of those fountains, you go by and you turn on the thing and it jets up the little, it can be huge, giant, or it can be bubbling, but it's water under pressure, bubbling up, bringing out forth the water up above the ground. When we spring, I always think of Tigger, right? I wish I had him. I used to have a Tigger on my desk here. He's in a box over there. But Tigger, his tops are made out of rubber. His bottoms are made out of spring. He's bouncy, 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 fun, 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 fun. Right? And he sprung around everywhere he went. Springing, leaping, bounding, pouncing, right? If we're thinking about Tigger. We want to spring forward. We decided we know what forward is. We know the difference between positive and negative, between moving forward and moving backwards. Now, the choice today is to spring, not just crawl, not just step, but make the choice. No judgment if you don't, but to make the choice today to spring forward. What are you going to do to spring forward, to leap ahead, to make a giant distance jump in who you are, what you're doing, and how you're showing up in the world? What are you going to do today to do that? And here's the important part of it. Not because I'm trying to preach at you. I don't need to do that. But because there is somebody who needs you. There is a purpose that burns inside of you. And only by putting on our inner Tigger, bouncing, springing forward, can we help the desperate people, the lonely people, the person in need, the person who's typing right now, saying, I need help with this thing. Maybe you did wake up this morning. I got to tell you, honestly, I woke up this morning in a little bit of a grump. You know what got me out of the grump? Somebody called and asked me for help. And helping somebody else totally shifted my mind because I had to. Because when we're in service, we can't be in fear. We can't hold on to our grumpies and really truly serve somebody else. When we focus on that person, on their need, all of the things, and it doesn't make what we're going through unreal, it just makes it unimportant in that moment. And then we can spring forward, make leaps and bounds in the forward direction because we know that we can do good for somebody else. There's somebody today that something as simple as your smile, it could be life for them. Literally, in fact. There's somebody today that the simplest of giving them $1. I was talking earlier with that same person I was working with, and I was recalling the story of when I used to work in downtown Portland. And for a while there, McDonald's had a special where cheeseburgers were 39 cents. So I could buy 10 of them for $4. And I would. And on the way back, people would ask me if I had money. And I was a single parent of 5 kids, keep in mind at this time, okay? And I really didn't have any money to give them. But I had the sandwich. And I could give them the sandwiches as I was riding back, as I was walking back. For that person who is truly hungry, who potentially hadn't eaten in days, that sandwich was literally life. That stupid 39-cent cheeseburger. It's not about me. It's not so that, here now, 25-ish years later, I can brag to you about how I gave somebody a 39-cent cheeseburger. That's not the point. It's about them. It's about the fact that in that moment, it was literally life. If a person is thirsty, giving them a cup of water means the world to them. If a person is sad and broken, the smallest glimmer of hope can be the difference between giving up and simply even just going through and making it through one more day. But only when we just be us, just be the best version of ourselves today, only then can we reach that person in need. Can we spring forward? because we choose to, not because we have to, but because we maximize while it's called today. We share our words. We go on Facebook Lives, Clubhouse, Periscope, YouTube, Instagram, any of them. And we share what we know today. A bright smile. We see somebody walk out in front of our house, and we just simply say, Lord, bless those people today. I hope that you can understand how easy it is to spring forward and how difficult it can be too. And then you will, with no judgment if you don't, you will choose to maximize today, to spring forward into today, into this week, to set yourself up for success and to powerfully show up in this world as you today. I'm so grateful for the time we get to spend together. I hope that life is finding you happy, safe, warm, and loved, regardless of whether it's raining or sunny outside, snow falling, whatever, that you feel love and life inside of you. I encourage you to share your message and your words with the world. If there's anything I can do to help you with that, I would absolutely love to. If you are in a place where outside things are impacting you, I want to encourage you that there is light, that in the darkest of nights, there is a dawn, and that sometimes in the worst of all of it, the best thing that you can do is choose. So that you can be the best you that you can be while it's called today. Regardless of the circumstances, no matter what might be happening outside of you, that you can make the choice. I'm going to be the best me that I can be today. I choose to spring forward. Until we're together again next time, I hope that you have an amazing and great week.